You are such a great game. I cannot imagine a better first-person shooter.
Oh baby, you know it. All the feelings of the classics along with a touch of new in one premium package. Don't you even think about it.
If you are a fan of old-school single-player shooters or just first-person shooters in general, you will find something to love in Doom Eternal. I don't care what you say, this game is worth your friggin' money. Doom Eternal is the pinnacle of first-person shooters, and sets the bar higher than Doom 2016 ever did. I cannot stress enough how good this game is and how well it's been supported over the last year. It was so well received that its sales reached well over $450 million within 9 months of its initial release, and it has continued to climb. That is roughly estimated to be around 7 million copies sold in less than a year. And mind you, that is just by selling the game. No microtransactions whatsoever. Eat your heart out, Call of Duty! I have been sitting on making this review for some time because I want to give the folks at id Software and Bethesda proper credit. This is nothing less of an achievement. They have proven that if you make a game with a good amount of content and give you something to achieve within realistic expectations, that the game will sell itself. No ifs, ands, or buts. It has been a good year and it still holds up to the competition, both content-wise and technologically. Having the game run at a steady 60 frames per second on the Xbox One and PS4 is nothing to scoff at. It's a masterpiece in every sense of the word. But I will admit, to some people, it can be intimidating and not for everyone. It's aimed at a very particular audience and it pulls no punches. So what makes this game good? What about it keeps players hooked and coming back? And what about it can draw some people away? As a psychopath who has clearly played this game way too much, I plan to answer these questions as objectively as possible. If you have been watching the channel at all, you should know that this is my cup of tea, but I am not afraid to admit when something could have been done better or just doesn't appeal to a certain crowd. So let us rip and tear into this. This is Doom Eternal.
Warning, the Slayer has entered the facility.
As you can guess, the game takes place sometime after Doom 2016 when Samuel Hayden warps the Doomslayer away to an unknown location. Some of us assumed it was hell, nobody truly knew. The game starts off right showing that it is quite literally hell on Earth, and you are the only thing that could stop it from getting worse. 60% of the population has been killed, captured, or worse, and it is your job to get down there and do what you do best. The main goal of the story starts off pretty simple at first. Hunt down the 3 hell priests that are orchestrating and controlling the invasion, and the demons will disperse. Dead and simple, right? There are quite a few twists and turns that cause things to change, but as the Doomslayer, you always reach your goal, and nothing can stand in your way. And what exactly will be standing in your way exactly? Well, if it hasn't been obvious, demons, more demons, and maybe an angel or two. Don't feel bad, they have it coming. As one can tell, this entry is a bit more story-heavy than the previous title. For some reason, this has incited some people to rate the game negatively, even though you can skip every cutscene from the get-go. I personally don't mind the cutscenes. In fact, I really do like them. As short as they are, they provide you with exactly what any Doom fan will need. These short cutscenes I would actually compare to the text walls from Doom 1 and 2. They provide you some details as to what is going on and what the Slayer needs to do next. Enough said. Not to mention that you don't get a cutscene in between every level. Unless you're talking about the Ancient Gods expansion. We will get to that later. Every level in Doom Eternal is brimming with environmental storytelling, as well as codex entries that can be retrieved and read at any time. You don't exactly have to read them if you don't want to. If you like the basic story that you are getting, then all power to you, and enjoy. But if you are someone like me who likes to have their questions answered and to dig into the lore with an interesting universe, there it is. It's what the developers have affectionately called their own personal Doom Bible. By the end of the game, you will have been given a complete story that can be continued or just left alone. It's a full story that can be invested into more if you so choose. And that is what makes Doom Eternal storytelling unique and enjoyable to people in general. It is left up to you, the player, on whether or not they want to dive deeper into it.
You were never one of us. You were nothing but a use.
When you start the game and shoot your first zombies and imps, you will be invested and feel powerful. By the middle of the game, you are going to be challenged and stacked. Near the end, you are no longer trapped in an arena full of demons. They are trapped in an arena with you. That is the kind of mentality that id Software wants the player to feel. They want you to feel powerful, but also challenged. The best way to describe Doom Eternal's combat loop is a form of first-person shooter kung fu. As Hugo Martin puts it, you start off as a white belt and eventually become a black belt. You will be pulling maneuvers that you would have only imagined in a first-person shooter. As the Doomslayer, you are basically the Swiss Army knife to every demon that the game throws at you. You start off with the legendary shotgun as your first tool of destruction, and I mean tool of destruction. Before walking into your first battle scenario, you are given a choice of which weapon mod you want to start off with. You can either go with the very familiar and handy sticky grenade launcher, or you can equip the destructive and very fun to use Gatling Barrel, which effectively turns your trigger pull into a continuous hail of buckshot. Take in mind that this is only the first weapon you get, and its applications in combat are very vast. The normal firing mode for the gun is effective against demons such as zombies and all the way to Hell Knights and Arachnotrons. The trick of the weapon mods on the shotgun is to expose and destroy weak points on demons. Again, this is only the first gun you get in the whole game. You will eventually get your hands on every weapon in the game pretty early on and understand their applications quickly. The game does a good job in letting you know how to effectively use each weapon along with their weapon mods. Now, you're probably wondering how progression works in Doom Eternal, correct? To put it simply, exploration and just playing the game. You see this map? That is going to be your best friend when it comes to beefing up the Doomslayer. And trust me, you're gonna want everything that you can get your hands on. You have 3 sets of upgrades: weapon mod upgrades, core upgrades, and suit upgrades. You get weapon mod upgrades by completing battle scenarios. You get core upgrades by picking up Sentinel crystals. And you get suit upgrades by collecting Praetor coins. You can collect crystals and tokens by simply exploring the levels and unlocking parts of your ship. To put weapon mod upgrading simply, you are basically just making the attachment that you put on your gun better. This can be anywhere from decreased cooldown times to increasing damage output. If you manage to explore every area in every level and complete every encounter, you will have every weapon mod and upgrade practically available to you. The last thing that goes into weapon mods is mastery. These specific weapon mod upgrades will give the weapon mod an overpowered buff that makes it infinitely more useful. But there is a catch. You can only unlock it in 1 or 2 ways, which is either by performing a specific action against a certain demon so many times, or by using a mastery token which lets you bypass that altogether. It is entirely up to you on whether or not you want to unlock these mastery upgrades or just use the tokens that you find in the environments towards the weapon mods you use the most. Core upgrades is geared towards your health, armor, and ammo. With each crystal you pick up, you can choose to upgrade one of these categories. If you target specific upgrades in the grid, you will unlock unique buffs and abilities that will make certain aspects of your equipment stronger. For example, Flame Belch cooldown reduction, further draw in of resources, and more. So depending on your playstyle, you will want to put your points into certain slots first. Finally, we have the Praetor tokens. This will make the aspects of your equipment more reliable. You want a bigger explosion on your frag grenades? There you are. You want a reduced cooldown of your ice grenade? We've got you, Chief. The only issue is finding the darn things. You will frequently see these coins just hanging out with the Ghost Sentinels just out of reach. It may or may not make you scratch your head on how to get there, but I promise you with a little bit of searching and willpower, hint hint, your map, you will find it. There are literally more tokens in the game than is needed along with weapon mod points, so trust me, if you just explore, you will have this all unlocked by the end of the game. And that's actually one of the nice things about the secret hunting aspects in Doom. you will have more than enough stuff to find in order to upgrade everything to its maximum values. The last thing that you will be compelled to collect when it comes to progression are the runes and collectibles. Runes will allow you to augment your abilities and give you more of an edge in combat. This can range from manipulating physics to giving yourself buffs upon kills. The collectibles all range from toys and CDs that unlock music tracks and 3D models to check out in the Doom Fortress. That is the area you visit in between missions, and yes, there are even more collectibles there to unlock as well. You can do this by collecting Sentinel batteries. These are collected by completing level challenges, and every level has one, and collecting them in the environment. Now we get to the nitty-gritty. The one thing that people will play this game for: the combat itself. If you have been paying attention at all to the gameplay footage in the background, you should know by now just how much blood-fueled insanity you are about to dive into. Every combat scenario takes place in an arena-style area, giving you, the Slayer, plenty of room to move around in. Which brings me to the first core essential to combat in this game. Do not stand still. If you stay in one area for too long or stand still for even 2 seconds, every enemy in the game will converge on you like weebs onto cosplayer comment threads. And that is not an exaggeration. You will need to be using the environment to your advantage as well as enemy weaknesses so that way you are not overwhelmed easily. Like I said before, you are the Swiss Army knife to every demonic problem you run into. Got a Mancubus that is shooting fireballs at you? Take out those cannons with a blood punch or a bolt shot. Got an Arachnotron causing you some issues? Take out the top turret for an easier time with a bolt shot or a sticky grenade shot from your shotgun. When you perform these specific actions, you are restricting the demon's options for offense. When you take out the Mancubus's cannons, they will have slower shot speeds and weaker shots. When you take out the turret on the Arachnotron's head, you take away any kind of ranged attacks it had. The Codex is a good source to figure out what methods are the most effective against each enemy. If a specific demon is giving you trouble, this is your best source of information. And take my word on this, the enemy AI are not that dumb. They are relentless and will use whatever they've got up their sleeves in order to take you out. They are just as agile and brutal as you are. The only thing they don't have is an entire arsenal at their disposal, so use yours. With all of this crazy stuff going on, you are probably wondering how you are going to keep up with your health, armor, and ammo. It's really quite simple. Each enemy is a piñata. How you whack that piñata determines what kind of stuff you get out of it. Every demon can be faltered or staggered in order to perform glory kills, which grants you health. If you set the enemy on fire, they will start dropping armor and gush out shards when killed. If you use the chainsaw on a demon, you will get a nice surplus of ammo, and it gradually refills itself up to 1 cell so that way you can never run out of ammo. If you tell me this game needs regenerating health, I will break your arm. Because that is a mechanic that games like Call of Duty have incorporated into quote-unquote militaristic shooters. The whole point of Doom Eternal is to immerse you into the action and make you earn what you need in the most brutal fashion possible. It takes the mentality of the push for combat in Doom 2016 to a whole new level. When you are able to walk out of an arena with all of your health still intact and only a couple of shells missing from your shotgun, you feel ready for whatever comes next, but make no mistake, this is a challenging game. If you don't play Doom Eternal as it is intended, it will beat you into submission until you do. This is a good thing, though. Every death is a learning experience, and the game knows it. You will also have plenty of chances and options to make it a bit easier for yourself if you are having a really hard time, making it more accessible for anyone who is just starting out. Speaking of difficulty, I am not ashamed to say that I had to dial down a bit before I cranked it up. You have a grand total of 5 difficulty settings. I'm Too Young to Die being the easiest, Hurt Me Plenty being the normal mode, Ultraviolence being the hard mode, Nightmare being, well, Nightmare, and Ultra Nightmare being an Iron Man kind of challenge where you only have 1 life, and when you die, you lose all of your progress. Oh yeah, should probably mention that the game difficulty is permanently set to Nightmare difficulty during that whole run. So no mistakes. You have an extra mode tossed in there for good measure, Extra Lives mode. where you have to collect extra lives in order to respawn, and if you do run out of lives, well, game over. Eventually, Ultraviolence became my quote-unquote normal mode, and Nightmare has become my new challenge. This is due to me actually getting good at the game and learning how to handle every situation that the game throws at me. And I'm not embarrassed to say that it took a good several deaths to get it down. Doom Eternal makes you throw yourself into the fun. It gives you the tools that you need in order to handle any situation and allows you to customize the method in which you do so. I cannot stress enough how fun the game really is. I cannot talk about Doom without talking about how amazing it looks. The more I play it, the more hidden little details I find. I cannot believe half the time that the game runs this well. id Software is no stranger to making technical masterpieces. They know that one thing matters the most when making a game. Making sure that it is absolutely fun to play no matter what, while making it look good. I have seen plenty of games released recently try to emulate this style and not be able to pull it off. I'm not sure what the id Software team has got that makes them so well-rounded in this regard, but I have got to say that they have mastered it with Doom Eternal. There is just so much going on and off screen. The weapon models look amazing, and so do the character models. Every little detail that I see, I know that it was put there for a reason. Heck, even the demons get pretty messed up depending on where you are shooting them and with what. The more messed up they are, the less health they have, and trust me, you will see plenty of chunks fly off of them before they go down. Resources and effects are greatly highlighted in order to draw attention to them. There are many things that I can list about the visual representation of the game, and honestly, we would be here for easily an hour. Another thing that blew me away was the music. My god, the music. I actually find myself listening to it while playing other games because of how awesome it makes you feel. id Software did the smart thing and hired the same composer from Doom 2016, Mick Gordon. The man got so much talent together in order to make the game feel like its own environment through and through. He even created his own language for the choir he hired, so that way it sounded mysterious but metal at the same time. Who does that? Mick freaking Gordon does. Unfortunately, we may not see him again for development with id Software for some time, because of some squabbles within. I don't know the full story, but regardless, I love his work here. It deserves to be praised. Before anyone says anything, as of the making of this video, Doom Eternal only has 2 paid DLCs that are really worth the price. The rest of it is completely free. No paid for battle passes or anything like that. It's all included with the game. And this is part of what makes players want to come back. The more you play the game, the more XP you earn. This goes towards 2 XP gains: your Doom level and your season event level. Your Doom level basically tells any player how much Doom you really do play and how effective you possibly are. This progression also attributes towards cosmetics and achievements. The season event XP goes towards the events that id Software decides to release practically every month. For example, we have the July event going on, of which contains prizes that reflect on, you guessed it, 4th of July. You can even unlock a unique character model set for the Slayer himself, along with unique animations. You can either earn XP by just playing the game via campaign or battle mode. In order to accelerate this progression, you can take on challenges that will give you huge boosts of XP. These are updated every week and usually have challenges pertaining to both campaign and battle mode. It's up to you on how you want to earn this content. Cosmetic items can also be earned via in-game challenges that are unique to the campaign and battle mode. So there are always those options as well if you are looking to unlock more cosmetics and skins. Another thing that comes free is the battle mode. I will admit I have only played an hour or 2 of this mode, and it is a lot of fun. People tried to see if it could potentially become an esports kind of thing, and I have to shake my head pretty fast at this notion because the mode is entirely chaotic, and sometimes can require little to no strategy. Perhaps it is because I could only mainly find games that allow me to play as the Slayer, and hardly anyone wanted to let me be a demon. My record so far is several wins and several losses. When I did manage to play as a demon, it was definitely more strategic and slimy. I believe that is what id Software wanted to make you feel, though. Because while I am playing as a Slayer, I felt like an unstoppable monster. I think they did what they were meant to do with this mode. Is it the reason why you are playing the game? Definitely not. But it is a fun addition nonetheless, and I enjoyed it very much. I'd rather play this and cut loose with some fellow lovers of Doom than go into a sweaty lobby of insert militaristic shooter game here. I think you can figure out which ones I mean. The Ancient Gods DLC is the only paid-for DLC that I was happy to invest into at all in the last year. Both DLC packs expand on the lore of the Doom universe and continue the story from Doom Eternal. You will hear from plenty of sources that Part 1 of the Ancient Gods DLC is much harder compared to Part 2. Personally, I would have to agree with them. You can honestly pick up Part 2 if you want to and just get to the ending of the story. But who honestly wants to do that? Both expansions introduce new enemies that require slightly different tactics in order to survive them. For example, phantoms that possess enemies and buff them in order to make your life difficult. Stone imps. Imps with stone skin that can only be killed via the Gatling Barrel mod on the shotgun or with the Sentinel Hammer that you get at the start of Part 2. New tricks and traps are also incorporated into each of the levels that Part 1 and 2 provide. Sure, each expansion only provides like 3 levels, but you can bet your bottom dollar that each of those levels are loaded with content and plenty to find. Personally, I did notice a bit of an atmosphere change in each of these DLC packs because of the music. Don't get me wrong, it still sounds amazing because this is Andrew Holshit that we are talking about here. Since Mick Gordon is no longer working with id Software during the development of these expansions, there is a slight difference between the Ancient Gods DLC and the main game. It was kind of like playing TNT Evolution on Final Doom, but without the super complicated level design. I still personally enjoyed both parts and think that they are definitely worth the money if you are looking for more to play in Doom Eternal. There is no need to explain further as to why Doom is still the single-player first-person shooter to play this generation and more to come. Like Doom 2, it has secured itself as the perfect sequel to a first-person shooter. The only thing that will draw people away from it is their willingness to put themselves through the daunting gauntlets that the game provides. This can similarly be said about Doom 2016. Not to mention, Doom Eternal doesn't have Snap Map.
See? I knew you would come crawling right back.
I know that. Everyone knows that. You brought back what everybody in this genre and franchise love about Doom.
I have more value. I've even got that crazy arena-style multiplayer that you love so much.
Trust me, I agree. But I would rather play the game the way I remembered it, which was strictly single-player content. I will pick you up again, though.
Really?
Of course. I've been playing the original Doom since I was 4. Heck, I was playing Doom 3 when I was 13, and I still go back to that.
Oh, okay. Well, you have my blessing to play Doom Eternal.
I don't recall needing your permission.
I will always accept you.
I bought you.
See you soon.